Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Many of you have heard me say the challenging statement, do you realize they gave Mother Teresa the Nobel Peace Prize for doing what every Christian is called to do every day? As we conclude this week of looking at some women of renown in the Bible, today I want to speak of two who are included in the story of the Apostle Paul, and from what we can tell, they might rank up there with Mother Teresa for their works and compassion for others. The first is a woman named Lydia. Lydia presents something of a conundrum in the Bible and the society of that time that we think we know. We have talked often about the role and place of women in that society, and it was unusual for a woman to have standing apart from a man or to be able to conduct business and provide a livelihood on her own. But all that seems not to be the case with Lydia, as far as we can tell. Lydia was from Thyatira, which was actually a region of Greece, and that means that Lydia was actually a very early European convert to Christianity. Even more, she is identified as a seller of purple cloth. Well, truth be told, dyeing fabrics in those days was a lot more difficult than it is today, and of all the dyes one might deal in, the most difficult and expensive to obtain was purple. In fact, the only source of the color purple for dyes was to collect tiny bits of fluid from a certain shellfish. Each shellfish provided only a little, so it took a lot of shellfish to make a quantity of dye, and so that was labor intensive, which made it expensive. As a result, purple was often worn only by the ruling wealthy class. So if Lydia was a dealer in purple cloth, it is likely that she was wealthy herself from her clientele. No one really knows about her marital status, although the Bible never mentions a husband. Some speculate that she was a widow, but still it would be unusual for her to be running her business alone. Lydia shows up in the Bible as Paul and Silas are on one of their missionary journeys. The book of Acts says, a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple and of the city of Thyatira, one who worshipped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened to listen to the things which were spoken by Paul. When she and her household were baptized, she begged us, saying, if you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and stay. So she persuaded us. Lydia was likely one of a group of early Gentiles who were sympathetic to Jewish beliefs but had not yet become a Jew. When she heard Paul tell of Jesus, she became one of the first converts to Christianity and offered her house as a place for Paul and Silas to stay. One of the things that we can learn from Lydia is that when God had acted in her life, she responded by offering what she had. The gospel always invites response. How shall we respond to God in our lives? We likely know even less about Phoebe. Her name means pure, radiant, or bright. And from what we can tell, she spent her life as a Christian offering light and help to others. She's mentioned only in the closing chapter of Paul's letter to the Romans. Paul wrote this letter while he was in Corinth. He had never been to Rome, but wanted to provide a message to the fledgling church there. And at the end of his letter, he writes, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church at Cenchreae, so that you may welcome her in the Lord as is fitting for the saints, and help her in whatever way she may require from you, for she has been a benefactor of many, and of myself as well. The key thing to note here is that Paul describes her as a benefactor of many, and even of Paul. I think that means that she helped others in much the same way as Mother Teresa did, offering herself and her resources for the good of others. But there's something even more important in Paul's description of her. He calls her a deacon. It's very significant that Paul gave her this official title in the church, equating her with many other church leaders who were men. She must have been remarkable indeed to be placed on equal footing with the others. And of course, what that means for us today is that there is no distinction. God calls men, and God calls women too. We are alike in our need for grace, and we are alike in responding to God's grace. We are all valued in God's kingdom. Like Mother Teresa, like Lydia, like Phoebe, may we respond to the amazing grace and love God gives. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.